Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. Today I have brought you something absolutely spine-chilling to share with you. You know those stories you always hear about, haunted homes, spirits, all those spine-chilling late-night experiences. Well, and this is where one of those stories ends. What I'm about to share with you is 100% real and happened to me. I am going to take you back in time to a house that I lived in that wasn't quite right for the next few minutes. I do mean not right, as in terrifying. So get ready, grab some popcorn or a blanket to hide under, because this story is going to make you rethink every creak, shadow or bump you hear in your own home tonight. And before we get started, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. I have so much more creepy, goosebump-inducing stuff coming up your way, and believe me, you aren't going to want to miss them. All right, let's get into it. It had all started at that moment when I moved into this old house in a quiet, off-the-beaten-path neighborhood. You know, one of those towns where everything stops and the town is deathly quiet at night. I discovered the house on a random rental website and the price jumped out at me. It was cheap, much cheaper than anything else I'd been looking at. I didn't have a huge budget at the time, so I figured it was a steal. It was an old, large, and quite frankly, slightly creepy house. It had this kind of well-worn charm to it, peeling wallpaper and creaky floorboards and rattling windows. It wasn't in the best shape, but I told myself it had character. What I didn't realize was that character and I were about to become a waking nightmare the first night. On my first night there, I unpacked a few essentials, laid out my mattress on the bedroom floor, and attempted to sleep. The house was dead silent, so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat. But then, in the dead of night, I heard it. Footsteps. They weren't burdensome, but they were specific. There was a sound of someone walking upstairs. I froze. What my brain immediately did was try to explain it away. Maybe the house was just settling, or maybe it was a raccoon or something. But the funny thing is, I was living alone. I was completely alone. I ignored it and returned to bed, reassuring myself that I was just imagining things. But I had another feeling. Underneath everything, I was uneasy, as though something was wrong. Things start to go weird. In the coming days, the weirdness only escalated. I'd wake up in the morning, I would find doors open that I knew I closed the night before. Lights would blink randomly, despite the wiring supposedly being fine. Then there was the hallway mirror. Allow me to tell you about that mirror. It was this old antique-y thing that was in the house when we bought it. I didn't think much of it at first, yet every time I walked by it, I couldn't help but feel something wasn't right. When I checked, my reflection looked off. It wasn't that it appeared different. It was still me, but it felt as if someone or something was standing just out of frame, watching. I know it sounds mad, but it reached the stage I wouldn't look in the mirror at all. I would pass it without looking, because every glimpse sent chills through my body. The whispering voice. Then arrived the night that could change everything. I was lying in bed, scrolling on my phone, attempting to fall asleep, when I heard it, a soft, whispering voice. It was not loud, but it was enough to make me halt. The voice said my name. It sounded like it came from downstairs. My heart raced in my chest, and for a second, I thought I must be dreaming, but the voice came again. This time it was clearer, more purposeful. I got up against my better judgment. I picked up my phone, switched on the flashlight, and tiptoed down the hallway toward the stairs. As I made my way inside, the house was dark, and the only thing I could hear was the creaking wood of the floor under me. By the time I walked down the stairs to the bottom, the air became heavy, as if the air was pushing down on me. I flashed my light around the living room, but nothing looked amiss. And just as I was beginning to relax, I heard a loud thump behind me. I spun around, but there was nothing there. The living room was empty, but I couldn't shake the sensation of being watched. The dreams begin. As the storm rolled in, things worsened again. I began to have these vivid, terrifying dreams. In all of the dreams, I'd be in bed, unable to move, and I'd see a man standing at the foot of my bed. His face was empty, and his eyes were going straight through me. I'd wake up sweaty, but whenever I opened my eyes, the air felt freezing cold around me, like the kind of cold that hits your bones. I started to dread going to sleep, for I knew the dreams would return. And each time they did, the man in the dream appeared closer, the house's dark past. At this point, I knew something was off. My eyes were being opened. I could no longer ignore reality, so I began researching what all this meant. I searched through old records and online forums, looking for any information I could find regarding the house. That's when I learned about its history. It turned out that the owner had died under mysterious circumstances. The official story was vague, something regarding a sudden illness. But locals were talking about unusual goings-on in the house even before its owner died. Others claimed they had seen shadows moving behind the windows at night. Some reported hearing screaming from the house when no one was in it. The final straw. The tipping point happened one night when I was potatoing on the couch, attempting to distract myself with TV. The doorbell rang. I didn't expect anyone, so I got up to look. Nobody was there when I opened my door. Just an empty street and the soft sound of wind. I turned back to the living room and that's when I spotted it. A figure in the doorway, shadowy. It wasn't an optical illusion. It was there, plain as day. The figure didn't budge, didn't say a word. It simply sat there, watching me. My heart was racing and I felt rooted to the spot, unable to move or even blink. Its presence was oppressive, suffocating, as if the air had been sucked out of the room. Then, as if on cue, the lights of the house flickered and went out completely. The entire room was swallowed in darkness, save for the faint outline of the figure still standing there. I stumbled backward, blindly reaching for my phone to use as a light. I got a chill down my spine, and that was that. I wasn't going to spend another second in that house. Leaving everything but my car keys behind, I ran out the door without looking back. The aftermath. As I left the house, I couldn't shake the thought that whatever was in there might still be following me. In the days that followed, I was paranoid and constantly looking over my shoulder. I had faint noises at night in my new apartment, a soft tapping at the walls or a creak in the floors. It was nowhere near as intense as what I'd felt in the house, but it was enough to keep me awake. I was even beginning to dream about the shadowy figure again. In one dream, it was outside the window of my new place, just staring in. I woke up sweating heavily and my heart racing, which I couldn't get back to sleep. Was it my imagination? Or had I carried it out with me when I'd left? Curious, and perhaps a little afraid, I did some more research about the house. As it turned out, I was not the first tenant to suddenly exit. Pretty much everyone who lived there was there for only a few months and then got the hell out without saying much why. Others had even left their belongings completely. Clearly, the house did not scare people. It ate them. Then, one night, I found scratches on my apartment door. They weren't there before, and they looked deliberate, like someone or something had clawed at the wood. My neighbors swore they hadn't heard anything. The next morning, I woke to find my bedroom light flickering despite the switch being off. I tried to ignore it, but that same night, I heard faint whispers outside my bedroom door. The same voice from the house. This time, I was too afraid to investigate. I stayed frozen under my blanket, praying it would stop. Whatever it was, it hadn't stayed behind. It had followed me. What do you guys think? Have you ever been something like this? Please do so in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your creepy encounters too. And if you want to hear more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Thank you for watching and stay safe out there. You never know what may be lurking in the shadows. Catch you in the next one.